In this chapter, we're going to take what we know about using video with HTML5, and we're going to push it a little bit further by taking a look at some of our own controls. Now, I've got a file for us to start with that already has some video set up, so we'll start by opening that up. I've got my working files open to Chapter 4, and I'm just going to open up number 1, Try Custom Media Controls. We'll open it up in the browser, and there we can see our video all set up. And I'll go ahead and open it up with my text application as well, so we can start making changes to it. Now, first of all, we can see that our video is already actually set up in our working file. We've already got the video loaded up, and we've got the normal control set that comes native with our browser when using the HTML5 media APIs. I can just click right on the video or the play button to start it, and you can see that my test video is just a little countdown sequence that you would normally see at the beginning of a film clip. It gets down to 3, and then we have a couple of seconds of black, and then it ends. Now, I've also included a few buttons down here at the bottom and some labels, but none of that's functional yet. That's what we're going to be setting up during our lesson. So now let's go back over and take a look at the HTML file. Up here we can see our video tag starts out. We've got an ID set to video, and that's really good because we know we're going to be using some JavaScript soon, and an ID is a really great way for us to be able to have JavaScript access this element. I've also got a width and a height set, and you can see that I'm using the controls attribute at the end here, and that's why the normal native controls for the browser came up automatically. Now we're using 2 video sources for this one. Remember that not all browsers are going to be able to show the different types of video that you have. And the easiest way to make sure that your video is going to show correctly in multiple browsers is to start off with multiple sources. So I've got one source line set up for a video using the Theora OGV video type, and another one that's already set up for the MP4 type. And that covers most of the browsers that are out today. On your video projects, you may also want to provide a source of the WebM video format, since all 3 source types will let you cover the maximum number of browsers. But for our case, the video OGG and the MP4 formats will cover most anything that you guys will be using. Now, I've got following that some text that'll show up only in browsers that don't support video playback. Now, down below our video tag, I've also included a few buttons that we'll be using as our controllers. But I wanted to start off just by going over the controls that we get from using the controls attribute right here in the video tag itself. So let's go back out to our browser. I'm just going to refresh the page so it kind of starts all over again. And let's go over the pieces that we have here. We've got a couple of play buttons. The actual video itself is acting as a big play button, but we could also use this button down here in the pop-up control bar. We've got a mechanism that's tracking playback for us and tells us how long the video is. We've got some volume controls, and we've got a full screen control. Now, these are the controls that I'm seeing in my Firefox browser. And if you're actually using a different browser, you may actually see a different set of controls. And that's because when we use the controls attribute, we're basically letting the browser take care of all the controls for us. And not all the browsers have the same control sets. So that's actually the first reason that a lot of developers want to create their own controls. That way they have a consistent look no matter what browser the user is using. Now, like some of the other HTML5 features that we'll be seeing in later chapters, not everything is going to work on all browsers. So you do have to do some testing and make sure you try it out on the major browsers that your clients are going to be viewing the videos from. As you can see from the buttons, we will be replacing a lot of these features. But there are currently some features that are very difficult for independent developers to drop in themselves. For instance, the full screen feature is not available on all browsers, and it's not something that you can easily do, so we won't be setting that up. And currently, if you want full screen, the best option is to probably go with the native browser controls and take it where you can get it. But for the rest of the controls, we'll be replacing the built-in browser native control set with our own buttons as we see here. Now, there is one thing that I wanted to try out that doesn't have anything to do with JavaScript, and that is replace the startup screen. You'll notice in the default control set, it's simply showing the beginning of my video. But not all videos begin nicely. In fact, a lot of videos might begin with a black screen, and that's not really interesting when we see that sitting up here with the play button. So let's see how we can modify that. If I go back to my document, you can see that most of our video elements are in the media folder. And in my working files, we've got the media folder right here, and there we can see all the test video elements that we've been working with. In fact, I have a WebM version of the video file, so we can add a source for that. but I also have in here a file called poster.jpg. And as you can see, it's just a picture of some flowers. But I wanted to use that as a startup screen for my video. Now, normally you'd actually pick a startup screen from the video itself or show the user something to kind of entice them to want to watch your video. And I know my picture is completely separate from it, but I just wanted to use it as a sample to show how we can replace that really easily. So let's go back to our document and let's set up a couple of things. The first thing I want to do is I want to add the source for the WebM video format. So I'll just copy one of the source statements that we already have in here. We'll go down and paste it in. And I'll just change this to test video WebM, since that's the name of our other format. And I do need to set the type as video WebM. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to go up to the video tag itself. And right here at the end, I'm going to add another attribute for a poster. And all we need to do is set this equal to the path to whatever frame we want to use as the first frame our user will see before the video plays. So I'm going to go to our media folder. And inside that, we have our poster.jpg file. And with that attribute added, we should be able to see our poster image out on the browser. So let me just save our changes. Let's go out to our browser and refresh the page. And now you can see that it's actually showing my Poppy's image as the first frame of video, so to speak. And of course, when we click, it just plays the video back like it normally would. Now, I'm not seeing any difference here with the WebM, but if I was using a browser that could only view the WebM type of video format, our change would have allowed that browser to watch video just like we are here with Firefox.